The cool, ancient breath of the Appalachian Mountains always held a particular kind of quiet for me. It was a silence that wasn't empty, but full of rustling leaves, distant bird calls, and the almost imperceptible hum of a vast living wilderness. For years, these trails were where my brother Liam found his truest self. He'd vanish into them for days, returning with wilder eyes and a deep peace I could only envy. Then, a year ago, Liam vanished for good, not into the trails, but from them. His backpack was found near a remote campsite, meticulously packed, but Liam was gone. No note, no sign, just the profound, gaping absence of a person who had always been so vividly present. The official search tapered off, but my own never truly ended. I kept returning to the mountains, walking the paths he loved, hoping, perhaps, to find some echo, some whisper of where he'd gone or why. One crisp autumn afternoon, the air was unusually still. The forest floor was a tapestry of fallen leaves, crunching softly beneath my boots. I was deep in a less traveled section, following a deer trail that Liam had once shown me, a shortcut to a forgotten overlook. The sun was beginning to dip, casting long, skeletal shadows through the bare branches, and a chill began to settle. Then I saw it. About 50 feet ahead, just beyond a thicket of rhododendrons, a deer stood. But it wasn't standing as a deer should. It was upright, perfectly vertical, its forelegs hanging loosely at its sides, almost like human arms. Its head was slightly tilted, its large, dark eyes fixed directly on me. There was no fear in its gaze, no skittishness, just an unnerving stillness. My breath caught in my throat. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong. Animals don't stand like that, not naturally. My mind raced through possibilities, a trick of the light, a branch, an optical illusion, but the image was sharp, undeniable. Its coat was a deep russet, mottled with shadows, and its antlers, surprisingly large for its frame, seemed to twist upwards like dark, gnarled branches. As I stood frozen, unable to move, a sound drifted from it. A low, raspy whisper that seemed to ripple through the quiet air. It wasn't a deer sound, not a bleat or a snort. It was a voice. And it was Liam's voice. My brother's voice. The timbre was unmistakable, the slight gravelly quality, the way he emphasized certain syllables. But it was distorted, as if filtered through water or wind, stretched and thinned. The whisper came again, clearer this time, and I felt a cold dread bloom in my chest, a fear far deeper than any I'd known. The deer's muzzle, still pointed towards me, seemed to stretch, pulling its lips back into what could only be described as a grin, a wide, unsettling baring of teeth that weren't quite right. And the words, in Liam's voice, echoed in the stillness. Now I'm wearing his hunger. The phrase hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Now I'm wearing his hunger. It was so specific, so chillingly precise. What hunger? The hunger that drove Liam into the wild? The hunger for something unattainable? For solitude? For answers? Or was it something more primal, more terrifying? A literal hunger that had consumed him and now, somehow, belonged to this thing? The deer remained perfectly still, its unsettling grin fixed, its eyes never leaving mine. The silence that followed was broken only by the frantic pounding of my own heart. I wanted to run, to scream, but I couldn't. I was paralyzed by a horror that transcended anything I'd ever imagined. This wasn't just a deer, it was a manifestation of everything unknown and terrifying about Liam's disappearance. It was the wildness of the mountains given a voice, his voice, to tell me something I instinctively knew I shouldn't hear. Slowly, carefully, I began to back away. One step, then another. My eyes never left the deer. It didn't move. It didn't even seem to breathe. Only that unsettling grin remained, and the echo of my brother's voice, whispering about hunger. I continued to retreat, turning only when I was sure I was out of its direct line of sight. Then I walked. Not ran, but walked with a desperate, steady pace until the eerie silence of that spot was far behind me, replaced by the familiar sounds of the woods. I didn't stop until I reached my car, and then until I was miles down the winding mountain road, the engine a comforting roar against the lingering quiet in my mind. That day changed everything. I never returned to that specific trail or even that section of the mountains. The wilderness, which had once felt like a place of solace and connection to Liam, now held a new chilling secret. A secret whispered in his voice by something that wore the guise of an animal. I still don't understand it. Was it a hallucination brought on by grief and exhaustion? Was it something supernatural, a true manifestation of the wild's indifference, or worse, its consumption? Now I'm wearing his hunger. The phrase replays in my mind, a perpetual echo. It suggests an absorption, a taking on of an essence. Perhaps the mountains didn't just take Liam, but absorbed his very being, his driving force, and then gave it a voice, a form, to convey a truth too terrifying to comprehend. It's a story I rarely tell, but one that reshaped my understanding of loss, grief, and the profound, unsettling mysteries that can reside just beyond the edge of our perception. What do you make of such an encounter? Have you ever had an experience that defied explanation, leaving you with more questions than answers about the true nature of reality? I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found yourself captivated by this story, please consider subscribing for more tales that explore the strange, the unexplained, and the deeply human experiences that connect us all.